Right, so this one, like I said, has been pre-recorded. It has some subtitling in some bits where the sound doesn't work particularly very well, but it was AI generated, so bear with us on that front. I don't think it's anything too shocking, but it doesn't always marry particularly well with it. But it's a really useful introduction to quite a different way that we've supported a different type of community. So let me play that. That should come.
Greetings from Pakistan. I'm Dr. Shahla Tabassum, head of the Department of Gender Studies at Fatima University, Rawalpindi, Pakistan. The project that I'm going to present is increasing mobility of young girls by giving Scooties. This is the main building of the Fatima Women University. Fatima Women University established in 1998. Currently, Professor Dr. Zara Rafi is the Vice Chancellor of the university, and there is almost 280 teaching faculty members who are teaching the students in the university, and around 6,000 students enrolled in the university. The project has a history. A study conducted by Tabassum and Suhail in Rawalpindi in 2022, and reported that 75% of women commute daily on public transport, and 82% of them have experienced sexual harassment, with 41% of those incidents happening to female students. Keeping this in mind, the severity of the issue, the project goal is and was to help young female students exercise their right to freedom of movement and independence so they can gain self-confidence. Motorbikes are predominantly made for and used by men in Pakistan. The new trend of using female scooters designed for young girls needed to be promoted and give them the confidence to use on daily basis is the reason behind developing this project. This project is trying to help young female students aged 18 to 25 years who face mobility restrictions due to the cultural and religious norms of Pakistan. In many other parts of the world, honor culture still prevails in Pakistan, where women are considered as an honor of their family. And restrictions are posed by adult male members, mainly men on women, to protect their honor. Due to the cultural norms and increasing religious fundamentalism in Pakistan, young women have to face a lot of restriction while pursuing their daily activities. Mobility restrictions is one of them which make it hard for young women to continue their education and build their careers. At present, there are very few girls or women who ride scooters. Scooters are easy, affordable, and efficient, which makes them easy to manage, especially for students. Therefore, through this project, we anticipate change in the following ways: women's mobility, women in continuing in their education and performing day-to-day tasks. More women will be seen on the roads. This is a picture of all the 4 girls that got scooter in this project with me, and the purpose of this project is to dispel stereotypes and realizing the cultural restriction placed on women's mobility from home to university and back by providing these girls with scooters. This project was initiated by the Department of Gender Studies that offered an equal opportunity to all students to participate in the survey to get the scooters. A 3-stage process was initiated to make the final decision about handing over the scooter to the student. First step was the initial survey. A questionnaire was designed with filtering questions, following with the results of the survey. Semester-wise, a breakdown of actual and shortlisted participants. Total 70 students participated in the survey, and they were shortlisted 34 students. The second step of the project on the process was the follow-up survey. And it was designed to know the willingness of the shortlisted students to ride the scooters and their parents' enthusiasm about getting and riding their daughters a bike, as well as the students were provided information about the signing of the contract with the university until graduation and the maintenance of the scooter. Total shortlisted participants were 30 and 90% responded yes, they were ready to ride a bike, but the exclusion criteria was parents' approval or permission to ride a bike or not. And in this criteria, 15 students excluded and total finalized student were 15 for the interview. You can see the table for more detail. The last and the third process of the handing over the scooty to the students for the interview, setting up the interview committee, and this was the final stage. And a department committee of 3 members was set up to finalize the 4 winning student based on the interviews. And these members was the head of the department and a senior professor and the lecturer in the department. Assessment criteria for this was there were 3 questions in hand. That one of them was the willingness of their families and the commitment to handle the pressure by the students while they were on the roads. And the last was to take care of the bike. These are the final 4 students who got the scooties with the head of the department, and they are very eager, and their parents are very enthusiastic for their daughters, and these girls are ready to maintain the scooter, and they are in contact with the university. The 4 girls are on the road. Now you can see those girls on the road through this short video.
I have one of the early of this project, I later recovery, and about the success, I will just conclude the success in 3 more words. Like it gives me wings, it empowered me, it is easy to use, it is less time consuming. It is very convenient for me to move from one place to another for my job purpose. And from the challenges, I would like to say that people used to mock us that when you are girl, you can't ride the bike, you just get off from the bike. So, but the society needs some time to adopt this new change of the girls to have legs and have power to move around with easy. Hello, my name is Shahla project. If I talk about the success, after seeing this movie, it was a very useful for me to understand my medical university. As I said before, it was before when I used to transport, I used to use the transport. It was not that much for me, and many people appreciate me whenever this can like this fight. I bring them in country. And then this many people usually ask me about this movie and people like the sport and medical, but some of the people this I see the chance that they used to mock me while I did this movie or say bad words. So it was the mindset that I feel that I need people. My experience was great. The really guys, I feel some difficulties while riding up scooty on road, and but this scooty has a very easy function like only a base and brake, and which did not distract the focus for shooting again and the challenges which I faced because my family was supportive. And I faced the challenge of riding a scooty on road, as there are much local conductors of transports. There are many sentences that I have to hear that run the scooty or drive the scooty correctly or be on the side. Or if there is a mistake of a man or men while riding a car or bike, they always start pretending like there was a mistake of mine or I'm a good person. Okay, my biggest success was I became independent and I feel empowered. Riding a scooty gave me confidence, and now I can feel that I can participate in every aspect of life or life world. And most importantly, I set an example by riding a scooty for other guys who want to ride a scooty. Also, I drive my own scooty. Here. So the challenges which I faced about scooty is traffic, the biggest challenge which I faced, and then the second is road, because roads are mostly damaged. So that's why these two challenges which I face a lot, but I managed with the help of my father. And the success of my scooty is about like I am going independent. So thank you.
It is just to inform you that for the sustainability of this project, these scooters will remain the property of the FJWU, and students will return them when they will finish their degrees and receive their clearances. The same scooters will then be handed over to the other students within the department. I, Dr. Shahla Tabassum, on behalf of the Department of Gender Studies at Fatima Women University, is very thankful to the Transport and Health Integrated Network at Elizabeth University in Wales, UK, for providing funding for this project.
Thanks. So really nice to have be able to help people out in Pakistan, and just a reminder that transport's always more than just from getting from A to B. There's all those other safety, security issues, the independence, the freedom, those kind of things. And I think that project highlights that really, really nicely. So now I think I'm handing over to you, Sarah, to introduce the next little section of the afternoon.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So we've got one more presentation before we've got a break, and then we move to workshops, to breakout sessions. But it will be a chance to grab a drink between the two sessions. Don't feel we dashing straight into the session. But next up, we've got another remote speaker. This is the joy of I think one of the joys that COVID has brought us, actually, not that there have been many, but we've been able to move to a situation whereby we can have speakers from around the world, around the UK, wherever it is. I think the last speaker was fantastic, because it really just brought into everything we talked about today around the need for a more equitable transport system and a more equitable approach to transport than we've had for an awfully long time. I think probably about 150 years when cars first came along. Anyway, our next presenter is Andy Hyde, and this presentation is labelled "A Just Transition" or "Just a Transition." And as we all know, far too often in the transport sector, we can do things that are a proxy for doing effective things. We can introduce apps as a proxy for actually doing something to help people access transport systems. Andy, in particular, I was going to be talking about the use of collective imagination to build on an equitable, low-carbon future. Right, am I going to do something? No, it's going to happen.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
We can, Andy. Please go ahead.
Super, thanks very much. Hi, everybody. Sorry I can't be with you in Cardiff, but greetings from Edinburgh. And thanks to Charles and the Think team for a chance to share with you some thoughts and ideas that I've been developing recently. It's a thought experiment, or a provocation, if you like, to take into your tea break. This is one of the many pictures on my phone that are like this. On the left, there's a car that's being charged. On the right, there's a charging station. And in the middle, across the two, dangled and tangled, is the charging lead on the path between me and the bus that I want to catch. The car and the charging station were designed to reduce our impact on the planet, but now we've created a new accessibility challenge. We've increased our impact on people. Is that a just transition, or is it just a transition? How will we know when we've achieved a just transition? It all feels a little vague to me. And there are lots of definitions of just transition. You'll read lots of different things like this. We want to support and promote equality, leave no one behind, moving from a more sustainable X, Y, or Z in a way that's fair to everyone. And I couldn't agree more, but I work with people who are disabled and disadvantaged by our current transport network. And for many, a fair and decarbonised transport system won't have barriers relating to poor physical access or poor service design or affordability or any other discrimination. And of course, low carbon transport is vital, but we have to enable people to use it, not just to encourage them. And the reality on the ground doesn't really bode well. In 2021, the Equality and Human Rights Commission reported that disabled people continue to face barriers to accessing public transport, and efforts to improve the situation have been slow and piecemeal. 2022, Transport for All reported described how the inclusive transport strategy, by the government's own metrics, had failed to have an impact on transport accessibility, and it appears as though transport is in fact regressing. And then fast forward to just last week, December the 5th, I think this was published, another Transport for All report saying that the findings from their most recent report support the fact that what disabled people have been saying for a long time, they don't have equitable access to transport, and the impacts of that injustice can be felt in every corner of our lives. And none of this is new. We've known this challenge for years and years. People have been trying to make this change for a long time. But what is new and needs new and urgent attention is this. 71% of disabled people in that report said that they would like to use environmentally friendly transport, but they're prevented from doing so by lack of accessibility and availability. We're not seeing significant progress towards equitable travel, and history tells us that unless we change our approach, we're going to have some real challenges delivering a decarbonised transport that supports and promotes equality. And I've been wondering about why this is, and I've got some thoughts, ideas I'd like to share with you. It feels like we're currently pursuing what feels like two separate goals: accessible transport, decarbonising transport. And it feels as though the urgency of decarbonising also means that the action and the attention is moving over to the right of that picture. So we just need to bring those two together, right? Bring those two efforts together and aim for accessible, decarbonised transport. Well, I'm not sure. And here are the few of the challenges that I think we're up against with our current approach. First is the need for speed. We're up against the clock, that's for sure, but that means that it's even more important to be clear about our goals. Almost half the buses sold in 2021 were apparently electric, which is brilliant, but were they designed to be more people friendly? I'm not sure. Poor language. We plan transport, but in reality, we experience journeys. We walk, we run, we wheel, we chat, we drink, we eat, we dream, we need the bathroom. We have multi-sensory experiences while practitioners design multimodal models and plan dwell times. There's a mismatch. It feels like we're talking about two different things. There's a lack of vision. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation has called for more imaginative approaches. The IPPR recently urged the government to think beyond the existing transport system to imagine a wider range of possible futures. We've got targets, we've got KPIs and pathways and strategies, but what are we actually working towards? Where's the vision that we're all aiming for? How do we build a livable future if we don't include what people really want and what they really need? And there's also a resilient status quo. Those reports that I just mentioned, and there are many, many others, demonstrate that we're finding it really difficult to move beyond our existing systems. It's difficult to find detailed plans around how we're actually going to achieve inclusive travel, let alone low carbon travel. So here are some ideas. I suggest a slow transition, wherein if we borrow the words from the slow movement, being slow means never rushing, never striving to save time just for the sake of it. It means remaining calm and unflustered even when circumstances force us to speed up. So instead of just doing everything faster, let's do everything at the right speed, in context and in collaboration. Let's find the right problems to solve in the order that will achieve the best result for everyone. How about a new lexicon? If our aim is to decarbonise transport, then if the toilet at the cafe is closed, what's that got to do with it? Let's create a new shared language that enables to have meaningful conversations about what it takes to get out and about, and that toilet is super important. Collective imagination, as Sarah mentioned there, let's create some desire lines that can guide others. Our imagined ideas, they're not going to be the answers, but by imagining together, we'll arrive at ideas that can at least be challenged and develop further. And we have to offer alternatives. Constructive ways forward involve suggesting alternatives. Organisations have been working on emissions reductions for years and have developed frameworks and standards and measurements. Why don't we try using those tools to describe our efforts to improve inclusion? And then we can start aligning plans for those two goals. So I'm going to look at a few of these ideas, but using this fundamental principle that journeys are systems and transport is one element of those systems. We plan, we leave, we walk, we wheel, we wait, we're on board, we connect, we arrive, and then we go home again. Let's reframe what we're trying to achieve and use the language and develop plans that reflect this. So in that new language, if we're talking about people and their health and well-being, let's stop talking about accessible transport and decarbonising it. If we talk about inclusive low carbon journeys, then maybe our aim is immediately much, much broader. Let's use our collective imagination. And actually, Ian got me thinking this morning and building on that. Maybe it's from is ought to is, yeah, but what if? I've prototyped a process that enables people to imagine more inclusive low carbon futures together. I brought groups of people who are disabled and disadvantaged together. And we started with visual prompts, such as the charging lead across the pavement. That's one of them that we used. And when we did, people had discussions and said, you know, this might be in the future, but we're already having obstacle courses every Tuesday afternoon or every Tuesday morning when the recycling bins are emptied and they're just thrown back on the pavement, or roadworks and the signs that sit on the pavement instead of the road. We're already up against some of these issues. So they imagined a future system that told them where the streets were cluttered. And we've added other imaginations across the journey and told a story of the future. It's the beginning of a vision of an entire journey rather than just one transport mode, if you like. And we showcased this at the Design Council's Design for Planet Festival. So it already exists. It's there. We can start using it right away, but it just needs some support and scale. This next one is a bit more of a thought experiment, and it does build on the last one there. So it's back to our journey as a system. As I said, organisations have been measuring their emissions for a while now. They've been using greenhouse gas protocols to determine their scope 1, 2, and 3 responsibilities around emissions reductions. And they've been developing their plans using science-based targets to determine how much and how quickly they need to do so. What if? What if they had equivalent tools to measure their exclusions? What if we had inclusive journey protocols that could make the entire journey system visible, revealing scope 1, 2, and 3 exclusions, and then develop exclusion reduction plans using inclusion-based targets to determine how much and how quickly they need to do so? The key would be to align those two goals, intentionally designing inclusion into designs for decarbonisation. So if you're going to buy that electric fleet in 2 years' time, what exclusions can be reduced through demanding new designs in the meantime? What and who do we need to consult in order to get this right? Because now inclusion has a deadline, right? It's the same inclusion as the emissions reductions. So we can reduce our impact on people as we reduce our impact on the planet, but we have to do so intentionally and in context, and we have to start now. If we can create opportunities for informed imagination to use different language and save time by building on existing concepts, then we can start to create detailed and actionable plans for a just transition. Jeff Mulgan, there's a fantastic article which I recommend called The Imaginary Crisis. And he says, good theories aren't always right, but they can be useful. Utopias tend to be wrong, but they can be useful even in their wrongness. This is why I'm particularly interested in ideas which are sufficiently specific that they can at least be interrogated or disagreed with, rather than ones that are very vague. If we work with people who are experts in exclusion, maybe we can use informed imagination to create visions of a more inclusive low carbon mobility. visions that are sufficiently specific that at least they can be interrogated or disagreed with rather than very vague. That's what's been going on in my head recently. I'd love to have a chat with anybody who's interested in this kind of thing. Thanks to Think again, and thanks for listening. Please get in touch. I'd love to chat. So thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Sandy, that was fascinating, incredibly thought-provoking. I think that the perfect lead-in to our workshop sessions. So there's plenty to think about there. I will take one question if somebody's got one. Andy, if you don't mind answering a question, if somebody's got one. Anyone? Question? Oh, bloody. I challenged everyone. I will say, Andy, I found your point about speed, the need for speed, fascinating, because I know Nicola Christie in particular has made reference to the need to decouple the notion of economic growth and speed, and how actually we've gotten into our head that cars are all about going fast, when actually what you talked about there, as I think we've talked about this morning, is actually those thoughts around, well, even to get in the car, you've got to find the keys, put your coat on, go out through the door. And actually, it's a much slower process than I think all of us really ever care to admit to ourselves. But anyway, given that we don't have a question, thank you, Andy, very much.